Worried about your spending habits? Don't worry, Kuda's got you.
As I spend, Kuda helps me save automatically. I stand a bank that makes saving easy.
Worried about those bank charges? Kuda's got you.
Kuda gives me 25 free transfers to other banks every month. No more unnecessary bank charges for me.
Too busy to go pick up your card? Kuda's got you.
Kuda just delivered my free debit card to my house for free.
Want instant notifications for every purchase? Kuda's got you too.
I pay anywhere with my Kuda card and I get free instant notification.
You too can break free from bank fees with Kuda Microfinance Bank. Get Kuda on your app store. Kuda, the bank of the free.
So let's go back to this very first build. So you built the first server app. It was running on your Mac Mini in your home office, and the iOS app was built by Igor, who was your first hire, and actually still works at WhatsApp. And you recently made a big profile on him. So you went through the Apple approval process. You released it to the App Store. What did you do then? Then what?
Well, then we've discovered a bunch of bugs, and then we've discovered that after we fixed all the bugs, nobody still used the products that we built. And it was a little bit demoralizing because before we built the product, like the idea that I would describe to people overall was received positively, like my friends or my ex-coworkers. They would say, yeah, it's not a bit, like nobody ever came out and said, it's stupidest idea ever, it's shit, it's never gonna work. Like not a single person did that. And so when we launched it and it didn't really take off, I was like, why? Like, why are people not using it? And turned out it just like wasn't what people needed. Like we didn't build a product that ultimately solved a problem for people. You know, we built a product that was like a cool idea in our heads, but looking back, people just didn't need it. It's not like it was bad or horrible. It just didn't solve a problem that people had in their lives at that point in time.
I see, makes sense. So WhatsApp is slowly growing, not as much as you wanted, and at some point you decided to add chat functionality. What made you do that?
Yeah, so I think around the time, it was 2009, I think around summer. Apple introduced push notifications. So if you go like way back in the old past, before push notifications, your phone, and I don't know how many people actually had a phone here in 2008, an iPhone, it wasn't able to do much. Like it was great for browsing the web and making phone calls and taking pictures in a very bad quality, but there wasn't a whole lot that you could do interactively. There wasn't a dynamic way for your phone to communicate with the server because there was no background and there was no way for an application to connect in the background, and there was no way to wake up the application. And so everything was kind of like very static. And that's partially why the status didn't work, because people would have to like launch the app, change their status, look at status of their contacts, and like nobody has time to do that. So when Apple introduced push notifications, we quickly kind of plugged it into the app and started. We introduced a feature where if you change your status, it could like go out to all the people and kind of like broadcast your status update. And we've noticed that some people were actually using it as a communication method. And then people would also write into us and say, look, you kind of have this way for me to communicate with my friends using push notification. Meanwhile, I'm paying like 25 euro cents for a text message or whatever the crazy prices were at that time. Why don't you just pipe it together? You're like 90% there. You already know who in the address book uses WhatsApp. You're already using push notifications. And we kind of said, well, yeah, we got nothing to lose, so we'll try that. And so we did, and it turned out that that was actually the problems that people needed had to be solved, because SMS was really expensive, it was unreliable, it was 20 years old, it was very limited in what it can do, it could only send text, and multimedia was really painful on SMS, and it was even more expensive. And forget about and this is always in one country. Imagine if you're trying to message across countries, across borders. And here, we're all living in the United States, and it's like, the country is huge, but you go to Europe, and you have a bunch of smaller sized countries all together. And so people in Germany trying to message somebody in France, or people in Switzerland trying to message somebody in Italy, and all of a sudden you have to pay almost €1 for a message. It was ridiculous. And so all of a sudden we realized that we were solving a problem for people, and then it just took off.
So yeah, at this point, WhatsApp is free and there is no business model inside. And at some point, you decide to start charging $1 for the iOS app. Why did you do that?
Why did we start charging $1? We were trying to balance. We were trying to it was almost like walking like a tightrope act. We were trying to balance, on one hand, making money, or at least breaking even to the point where we weren't burning a lot of money. So we were self-funded originally. Me and my co-founder, we put in some money, and we also got some angel funding as well at a later stage. But we were still trying to be really, really conservative and frugal with the money we had. So on one hand, we were charging people to make sure that we have revenue to pay for lights and servers and the basic stuff. But then we also wanted to, believe it or not, to slow down the growth of our network, which in today's world kind of sounds backwards. It's like, why wouldn't you want your network to grow? Well, there were a number of reasons. One, we wanted to throttle our network growth to make sure that we can provide a great service. So we didn't want to be known as a company that has outages, or a company that can't provide a good customer support, because all of a sudden you have a flood and influx of users into your network, and yet they can't provide help, they can't get customer support, your servers keep falling over. We wanted actually to have somewhat of more of an organic growth. And I think that's the reason we just felt that having a paid relationship with our customers would create a better relationship in general, because when they pay for a product, they would want to continue using it.
Babs, could you tell us a little bit about your company, Kuda Bank?
Yeah. So Kuda. Yeah, it's like it's basically a full service digital only bank. The whole idea behind it is to have financial services that is really affordable and really accessible. There's been a lot of talk, not just in Nigeria, but globally, about sort of the lack of financial services, or the lack of access to financial services. And for us, we believe a lot of that is to do with price and accessibility, especially in the emerging market, especially in Africa. There's a lot of, it's not a surprise that, half of the world's unbanked or underbanked is in Africa. We're a very price sensitive sort of society. So for us, we really wanted to build something that would serve a purpose, that basically makes financial services, really affordable, and you don't really get cheaper than free. So that's kind of our philosophy, and that's the driving force behind what we do. So we've built this sort of digital only bank that's sort of accessible to you right in the palm of your hands. You can access it via mobile app. We're on Android and iOS. We have a web version now, again, to improve access. And very soon we'll be rolling out sort of the USSD channels as well. So it's really about focusing on access, and the philosophy around price as well. Everything we do is so customer centric that the most important thing to customers in this region is price. So we have to figure out how to make money. So the point is, give the customers what they want, and then let's go to the strategy room and figure out, okay, how do we even make money from this thing? So that's what Kuda is. It's a you get a full bank account, you open it within a couple of minutes. You can transfer to anybody in Nigeria, that has a bank account or some kind of digital wallet. It helps you really understand your finances by teaching you how to sort of save smartly. It has automated budgets. We're coming up with a credit product within the next, few weeks. You should see some overdraft products on the Kuda app. So it's this just all-inclusive financial service product that is really simple to use and really easy to understand, and that's it.
Cybersecurity expert Meneleke is a former bank employee turned social entrepreneur. He's one of the few IT professionals that left the banking sector to start his personal business in Nigeria. While Mene still believes he can make it here through his IT consultancy startup, he says many of his professional colleagues got dissatisfied with the pay and skill advancement gaps and left the country seeking greener pastures abroad.
Job security is part of the reasons why most IT guys are willing to leave the bank and so on. And the pay too is part of it. Abroad you can get a yearly pay of $72,000 or thereabout. While in Nigeria, when you put everything together, it's just about 14 million plus. While abroad is 36 million plus.
Nigeria is experiencing a mass exodus of IT professionals across various sectors. According to reports from the country's bankers committee, the banking sector has been one of the worst hit.
Most of the bank app are still static over some couple of years, and most of the times you want to use some of the app, it's having issues. It's not from the air. It's because of lack of professionals or lack of enough manpower to manage these things.
For years now, medical doctors trained in Nigeria or Nigerian institutions have been steadily migrating to other countries due to issues ranging from poor working condition, inadequate remuneration, obsolete medical equipment, political instability, shortage of economic opportunities, and others. This brain drain is worsening the depleted healthcare resources in Nigeria and widening the gap in access to quality healthcare. In a bid to reduce this, during his 2022 budget defense last year, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, advocated for a compulsory 9-year service for all Nigeria-trained doctors before they would be allowed to emigrate. With a steady rise in medical brain drain in Nigeria, the big question is, how can we solve this problem?
I was speaking with a bank manager the other day, and I was asking him, why is it that your softwares are failing? The banking apps, they are failing. They are not, the payments are not going through. He said that they have lost most of their senior software engineers. These guys resign and leave the company and then go abroad, relocate to Canada. And they are finding it hard to find talent in Nigeria, senior developers. And I asked him, so how much do you pay senior developers? He said 800,000 naira per month. Hey, oh God. You are running a whole bank and you want senior software engineers and you are offering 800K because you think they don't have option? Software engineer are beans to you? Hey, it isn't a farming work. Software engineer, if you want senior software engineers and you don't have up to $10,000 per month, you're not serious. You're not ready yet. Go and think about your life. Anybody can go online on YouTube and learn JavaScript, or take a training program. You learn JavaScript free code camp. You learn PHP, Flutter, free. But to be a senior software engineer, it requires years of experience. We're talking about 5 years, 10 years, 15 years of experience. You want to hire this guy with 15 years experience and you're paying him 800K. What is 800K? He reached to subscribe data for 1 month. Talking about a man, some of us are married with 5, 10 wives. See, We are not all in Canada. Senior software engineers, with this, all those job applications, job openings you people are putting out, we see them. We are seeing the job openings. We are not applying because we know that you people are not ready. You are not ready yet to pay. You understand? People are in this country working with countries abroad. See, Nigeria has some of the best software developers in the world. Go and check it. Go and ask anybody that has traveled and been in tech companies, and all these big tech companies you are hearing. Go there to their tech team. You will see Nigerians there. Most of these Nigerians are not even in that country. They are in Nigeria here working remotely. It shock you. All those job openings you are looking for talent that has 5 years, we the see them. You people are not ready yet. If you really want to hire talent, bring out money.
Let me start with you, Dr. Nsabasi. Sometime in August last year, the government of Saudi Arabia sent in some agents to Abuja to recruit Nigerian doctors. And that generated a lot of reactions, even from the federal government itself. So talk to us about the level of brain drain in the medical profession.
Well, it's quite disheartening right now that we are having lots of doctors trained in Nigeria, not just doctors, but healthcare practitioners in Nigeria moving to North America and European countries in search for greener pastures. And I mean, in fairness to them, you would perhaps not really find fault in what they're doing when they have better standard of living out there. Their services are in demand in those countries. And besides the money or besides the remuneration package they get, they have more fulfillment in those countries. I mean, you now realize that there are push and pull factors. Push factors are those factors that are pushing them out of Nigeria. Like we've seen the last year, we had several months of industrial action by resident doctors in Nigeria. And of course, we knew what their grievances were. Now, when sometimes we do not, take cognizance of these grievances and address them promptly, I mean, doctors will not have any other option but to leave and go to places where they feel they are better appreciated. Second, sometimes you see these doctors, for example, a specialist, a neurosurgeon, or let's say basically surgeons. Most surgeons, they don't get to even practice what they have learned in the country because we don't have the equipment to carry out such surgeries. Only until recently, most cancer surgeries were done outside the country. So what happens to a trained clinician in Nigeria who is trained to carry out such kind of surgeries? He or she does not see that avenue or have the opportunity to actually practice what he or she learned. I mean, there is not, that self-fulfillment is not there. And when that happens, I tell you, the only option they have is to go to places where they can actually practicalize what they learned. Because for them, it's about self-actualization.
But my opinion still remains the fact that you must understand that Nigeria is not isolated from other countries. Neither is other countries isolated from Nigeria, you understand? And global labor mobility is a fact to which every employer of labor must consider. Because though you might be a Nigerian institution, your competition does not stop in Nigeria.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Your competition doesn't stop in Nigeria. Your competition are those same people in the same service industry all over the world. And also for a Nigerian graduate, you also should understand that my going to school or acquiring a degree does not limit me to Nigeria. I need to position myself so that I'm globally competitive. So if there are people leaving certain businesses or industry, it's probably they've not positioned themselves to be globally competitive. So they should look inward and stop blaming the people that see better opportunities and they grab it.
Interesting. So the fault is from the employers.
Well, let us put it again. Let's look at it from a strategic point of view. You understand? When you do a stakeholder analysis, I think a lot of undue consideration has been given to probably the investors and probably the guys at the top. Do you understand? Unfortunately, for me, when you see you're calling investors to invest in your business, you're telling them because I've got capacity to repay your money and even give you some profit on it. But the guys that actually bring about the repayment are the workers. So they are even as critical as the investors. But if you look around, big corporations in Nigeria are quick to publish their profit for the year. But how many of them have actually published how well they've treated their staffs? Do you understand?
Yeah.
Remember, unfortunately, they've been myopic. Do you understand? In the treatment of their human resource. Do you understand? I think most of them, when they base their welfare package, they just base it on the Nigerian system. Do you understand? But unfortunately, if they look at the globalization, everything into play, then they will be more strategic even with their human resource planning. But that's not the case. So they're like, okay, we are the highest payer in Nigeria. Good. So how about another developing country that can just add some little perks and take those people that you think and they get them on board? You see, a lot of guys go to the UK. I was talking with someone who got a job with a bank. Said he will be getting about £20,000 per year. And I sit back and I ask, £20,000?
You should bring a calculator.
Yeah, don't worry about calculator. By the time taxes are deducted, that guy is struggling. Do you understand? The guy is struggling. Because you find out these guys that have gone to the UK, I'm going to use United Kingdom because it seems to be the one that is accepting a lot of Nigerians at the moment. Not even the US. The US doesn't even have time. There's a lot of backlog of visa applications that they've not even attended to in the last 2 years. So the UK guys, they are there and guy, show me the way now. How far now? Make your boy smile small. My guy. You think they are just storying you, but their reality is different. They work hours. I know a dude who is in the United Kingdom, Scotland to be precise, who mops floors. This has been the story, even when we were growing up. That, hey, don't mind those folks traveling out and all those things. You need to find out what they actually do there. Yes, there is a play of the central arrangement of things. What is livelihood beyond even your income? What are those basic things that is made available to you to make your quality of life acceptable? Do you understand? Some of those countries do have it, while Nigeria is struggling with those things. That's another conversation.
Yes. So I'm going to come in there, right?
Yes.
I want to be sure that we agree that people are leaving the country.
Oh, people are leaving the country, but a conversation that is missing is that people are returning to the country.
Oh, tell me about that.
Oh, are you saying, would you believe that in the last 2 years, nobody has returned back to Nigeria? Are you going to say that in the last 2 years, some people have not repatriated their funds back to Nigeria because they see what others do not see as opportunities? Are you saying the guys that come from Lebanon? Are you saying the guys that come from India? Are you saying the guys that come from China to come and do 1 or 2 running arounds in Nigeria? Are you saying, why are they coming? Do you understand? So Nigeria is open for people to go and for people to come. The people that are coming are even creating opportunities. Those that are going to, I don't know what they are going to do.
To meet opportunities.
To meet opportunities and you know, they complain of cold, they complain of this. It's not like I wouldn't like to, if I see something real, do you understand? But if I travel tomorrow, you see me at the airport, you won't go and look at me. It's not that guy that was saying that there is nothing wrong in Nigeria. I'm only traveling because I think there is something I really want to do. But I would never run away. You know, they say that in the place where there is a lot of darkness, a little light will shine bright.
Oh, yeah.
Do you understand? So in a lot of chaos, in a lot of uncertainties, the brightest mind will shine bright. Do you understand? So you see, guys, well, you know, social media is awash with a lot of untrue stories. Then we have this culture in Nigeria. We just find one interesting gist. Then we make it be like a national pandemic. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Jagba is not even trending like COVID-19, and I'm like, is there something wrong with us in this country? do you understand? How many people have actually left? We are talking about 200 million people. Do you understand? And you're having maybe statistics, give or take, plus dependents and everything. You're talking about 150,000 leaves in the last 1 year.
That's enough.
Is that significant?
to make
Is
fuss
that
about.
okay? You understand? Is that a brain drain? Now, who actually measured that the 150,000 that have left are actually the brightest of minds? They are the inventors. They are the guys that started Tech Point.
Hello, working at Kuda is great here.
One of the biggest reasons why I love working at Kuda is the quality of the people and quality of the relationships that have been built.
The bond between team members.
The work environment, I think, is really accepting. You're allowed to be your most authentic self.
I don't have to suit up and look so boxed up.
It's cool to be able to do stuff that's creating value while not changing who you are at the core.
And basically, there's a lot of room to grow.
It's just a really cool place for literally anybody who loves to be free and be themselves and while actually making impact.
When I think of Kuda, the first thing that comes to my head is growth, because we've grown tremendously in the past 2 years, and I can't begin to explain or imagine how much this growth has been in every area of the business. Every aspect of the business has grown. So yeah, Kuda, growth, they go hand in hand.
Okay, so I joined Kuda because the core values of Kuda aligns with my personal values.
Yeah, so you get to work a lot of exciting stuff.
This is a new challenge that I want to be on, and it's being at the front, being setting the pace for a lot of guys to follow. And in my mind, I'm like, it was just an opportunity I couldn't turn down.
So something that drew me to Kuda was the scale of the vision they had for the banking industry in Africa.
And it's just cool to see the value that Kuda is creating for customers.
Allow you to actually contribute to something that directly affects people's lives.
Because we're building the future of banking for every African.
And it was just cool to be a part of that.